What you're looking at here is oregano. It has crawled underneath our garden fence from where I had originally planted outside the garden fence. It's gotten huge. Oregano is an extremely hardy plant. Even a couple of winters ago, a couple of Februarys, when it got 10 below zero one night, yes, it did die back, but it came back bigger than ever. And when people generally hear about hardy plants, drought hardy and frost hardy, they tend to be things like they're herbs like oregano, and these are walking onions or Egyptian onions that also come back. I never have to replant these. They just keep coming back every spring, no matter how cold it gets. But when it comes to hardiness of plants, you generally don't read or hear about it in gardening books related to fruit, especially not fruit grown in containers. Well, what you're looking at right now, I'm considering a minor garden miracle. Because, alright, so wanting strawberries off the ground so the mice and rats would stop getting to the ripe fruit, I had Jerry build these. They're like really long planter boxes. And we got brand new strawberries from the nursery, so of course they wouldn't have any anthracnose on them, right? Wrong! Apparently, these plants had anthracnose right out of the gate. In the nursery, they had contracted anthracnose because the very first berries showed signs of the disease. That had never happened before. Usually when I buy strawberries from a nursery, at least the first crop of berries won't have anthracnose. You know, the anthracnose will develop, you know, a month, six weeks after the first berries start coming out. But these had anthracnose right away. That discouraged me. There was that, and then last year somehow we seemed to be in this rain bubble. I was following the radar online, and every time we had rain, and even like an 80% chance of rain forecast, we would either get just a tiny amount, or it would go around us completely. There would be rain within a mile of us. It was ridiculous. And we wouldn't get any rain. And so we didn't get nearly the normal amount of rain. In the meantime, even though I was discouraged with these plants because they had gotten anthracnose so early in the season, I thought, well, next year we'll just religiously spray with fungicide, natural fungicides, neem and copper, and we'll do it more often than you're quote-unquote supposed to. So I was wanting Jerry to save these plants by watering. He needs to water because I can't get up. He's taller than I am. It's just easier, and he can lift heavy buckets. So that was his job. But as the summer wore on, so our rain tanks were getting, our water storage tanks were getting lower and lower, and he was using water from the little pool we have, and that was getting ridiculously low. So we didn't really, I didn't feel like we had a lot of, when you're off the water grid and it's not a well, but you're collecting in water storage tanks, you have to be careful with your water usage. And so I went back and forth. I struggled. We had gone through all this work. Jerry went through all the work of building these wonderful beds and filling, we spent all this money on potting soil, and then all the work to plant in the strawberries. I didn't want to let them die, but I also didn't want to run out of water. So, and then I was just fed up with everything. So by about, I don't know, August maybe, hello, there's a jumping spider visiting us. Do you see him right there? Anyway, by September or August, every single plant on the top and on the bottom look like this. Some of now, they have put out, they did their job of putting out new shoots, and some of the shoots were successful and got into the ground. Other shoots were not so successful. They didn't make it to the ground before the mother plant died. And so, of course, the shoots just died. They had, no way to get water. For all practical purposes, these plants were dead. I mean, I thought they were dead. Dead, dead, dead. Now, I knew the roots were somewhat hardy, but if you read any book on container gardening, what do they say? They say you must keep the soil moist. Don't let it dry out, because the roots can't go anywhere else. They can't go deeper down in order to find water, like plants that are planted in the ground. So I said, great. We have these huge containers with all these dead strawberries. All that time and work and money for nothing. They were dead. They were like this. Dead. Or were they? Then about a month ago, I think it was about a month ago, it was first the berries in the bottom boxes started getting green. Then we started to see flowers. Then the guys on the top started to get green and started growing flowers. Much later than usual. Usually by now, I mean, we've got bigger, we've got pink strawberries. But look at them. And I know I have some bigger than that. Let's look. Oh, and by the way, so we have been getting more normal rain now ever since our 2 sleet storms in February. We have been getting more normal rain, but these are, like I said, containers. The rain we've been getting up until recently hasn't been much more than about an inch a week, which is not enough, especially for these guys in the bottom that are kind of protected from rain. That's not enough, supposedly. If you read the experts, if you listen to the experts, that's not enough water to make things green, and especially if it's fruit, to fruit them. There's a bigger strawberry. That guy's coming on. We have not done any supplementary watering for these plants yet this year. Even though, up until recently, we haven't been getting, quote-unquote, enough water for things that are growing in containers. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you a theory. Maybe it's not a theory, maybe it's a fact, that strawberry roots and strawberry plants in general are much hardier than even the experts know. They can grow and fruit with less water than what is generally considered necessary for plants that are growing in containers. Now, I'm going to tell you right now, I don't expect these strawberries to get very big because, look, they've become crowded. I didn't thin them out because I thought they were all dead. I'm going to be doing some thinning out probably this fall. But yes, ladies and gentlemen, strawberries, even in containers, can tolerate a good deal of drought. And they will happily come back if they start to get even just a little bit of moisture. They will come back and be happy. And yes, because they have come back, we are now spraying them with fungicide. We may have started too late. I'm not going to be shocked if they get anthracnose, but maybe it'll hold off. Maybe we'll be able to get a decent first crop of berries. We'll see. But yes, we are going to take care of our berries now. And we're going to see what happens. Thanks a lot for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, share it with your other gardening friends who have indeed, I'm sure, been taught that plants in containers, if you don't water them enough, are going to completely die and you're going to lose them. Well, not strawberries.